Hello! Today on Diamond J Insulation TV, we're going to be doing a bid walk for a spray foam roof here in one of these downtown buildings. So, it's a little bit different than, just a typical job walk. We got some other things we got to look at, some other things we got to pay attention to, but that's what we're going to be doing today. So, what we'll do first is we'll get to our destination. And then we're gonna find a nice little place to prop up our ladder. Did bring the ladder. And then after that, hey, we'll get up there and take a gander, see what we can find. All right, so we're pulling up to the job site now. And first thing we'll do is we'll get up there, we'll take a look around, see if we can find any problems. And then after that, we may go speak to some of the tenants and see if there's any problems that they know of that we can. It's gonna be this building right here, this white building. Let's see if we can get around in that back alley though. Perfect. This is where we're going to be working today. Hell yeah. First things first, we're going to get all of our tools together. We got all our tools together. Really for a roofing bid walk, getting measurements from on top of the roof, you can do it with a tape or you could do it with one of those wheels where you walk it out or whatever. That's all fine and good. I don't like to do that. I like to get a roofing report off of it. So basically they'll take a satellite image of the roof and pull measurements off of that, and then that way you've got a document that shows what the square footage is. You can also send that along to your client. It's something that just adds a little bit of value. It doesn't cost that much money to do, so I like to do that. So I'm not going to pull any measurements. I'm going to go up there and strictly just look for problems, and we'll identify those problems. And I do like to bring a phone with me, which, hey, got that. And then that way I can take pictures of any of those problems and, show that to my clients. Sometimes, your clients are going to be older and they don't want to get up there, or they just don't want to get up there. And hey, it's not their job to get up there. That's what they're hiring you for. So we're going to get up there and see if we can take some pictures, some videos of any problems that we see. So let's go do that. Okay, so one thing we need to think about whenever we're setting our ladder up is safety. So originally I pulled back into this alley. There's no traffic, there's no pedestrians, so it's a good spot. Well, unfortunately, we've got all of these high lines running through here. So that doesn't give us a good, clear, safe spot to put our ladder up on this back wall. Also, there's a gutter system up here. We don't want to put our ladder on that gutter because it's just gonna damage it. So what we'll do, because we don't have permission to access someone else's roof and walk across, we're gonna come right here around the corner and come up on this side here. There is a door right here, so that's not ideal, but this is gonna be a much better option than accessing from the rear. Okay. All right, we've made it up. Ideally, you want somebody to hold that for you. Okay, so we got a lot of puddling water up here. Not a good sign. And when you can see, we've had some people attempt to patch the roof up here. So we're just gonna start at the top. This roof almost seems, so the gutter's back here, obviously. Okay, back here in the back. So the front should be the low side and everything should drain this way back to the gutter. One of the problems you have with trying to patch stuff sometimes is you can build a dam up over here so that this water isn't able to drain. But we're holding water almost all the way across this roof, and it almost appears like this backside is higher up than even like the middle of the roof. We've got some, definitely got some leaks here. So one of the biggest thing about roofing, any type of roofing, these are in extreme weather conditions. They're exposed, and then also you got the sun just beaming down on them. So they go through a lot, and look at this. They get a lot of beating, but maintenance on roofs is the most important thing. That's what'll save you from having to have a new roof. So look, they came in here, they used some spray foam and then put, looks like an elastomeric on there, which it's really not thick enough because you can see right through that. You can see all of the spray foam there. You know, and they just tried to cover all this up pretty well, but we left a hole right here, and right beside where we did this huge patch job, we've got a hole right here. I mean, my finger is up under. That's roof deck right there. So, you know, fixed one spot. Here's the thing about roofs too, okay? Patching is not a good option for roofs because you patch one area, now the water's just gonna leak somewhere else, assuming you patched it, you know, correctly. So when it comes to roofing, it's better to do the whole thing. So personally, I don't like to guarantee work on roofs unless we do the entire thing. So if we do a patch job, oh, that's kind of soft. Not too bad. If we do work on a roof, I like to say, hey, you know, I'm not going to guarantee this, but if you want to do the whole roof, I'll guarantee it. We got a soft spot here also. It's not bad though. So with these tar roofs or any kind of shingled roof, obviously everywhere we've got a seam, we've got a potential leak. And you can see we've got a bead of tar right here. But as that starts to degrade, you know, now you're gonna have a chance of a leak right there. You see we got, it's not peeling up yet, but definitely got cracks in the roof. And the problem is, whenever you have the water puddling, that water's got all the time in the world to get down through there. Now he's saying he's not noticing anything unless it's a really hard rain. And usually that's an indication that you've got a drainage problem. This roof doesn't have a lot of a pitch. Just by looking at it, it seems like maybe even this side over here on the east is the high side, and maybe everything's kind of supposed to slope down this way to the west and then roll down to the back. We're looking for a few things, okay? Number one, we're looking for holes, obviously. Number two, we're looking for areas where the water is going to puddle. Number three, we're looking for seams. So when you've got this tar paper roof or you got a shingled roof or whatever, anywhere that there's a seam where two pieces meet, that's where we want to look as a potential area for a leak. So if it comes, you know, unadhesed, then you've got water puddling there, or you've got a lot of water coming in and you can't drain. Well, then at that point, that water is going to backflow and go up under that shingle. And then at that point, it could go anywhere in the building. It may leak directly through, but it may run down the underside of that roof deck and drop in. This homeowner was, or building owner was talking about, you know, it's got a bunch of little leaks. He said, but it really leaks when it rains a lot. So that's an indication that we've got a drainage problem. So we're gonna go check out that gutter system and see what problems we can find with the drainage. Roofing is expensive. So a lot of times what happens is you find these roofs that have been, you know, not maintained. They've had problems for a long time. They try to patch them up. They'll get a friend or a handyman or somebody like that to try and come and fix it for cheap because they don't want to pay a roofer. And a lot of roofers are kind of scared, honestly, to roof because owners want guarantees. They want a 20-year warranty. They want things like that. And unless you're over 50,000 square feet, you're not going to get a manufacturer warranty. So for contractors, they don't want to warranty that work. So that can be an issue. But eventually, with enough neglect, you get to the issue that we've got now. And, he's got 5 tenants in here, and they're all mad as hell because they've got leaks. So now, instead of doing some light maintenance, we're going to be probably redoing this entire roof. Okay, so let's inspect this gutter. All right, so we're going to inspect this gutter now. So you can see we've got a hole here. Now, likely this gutter is not going to be able to fill up to the point where that water can backflow through here, but it's never good to see a hole. So we're just going to check this seam across here. You can see right here we've got another spot where that water can flow off into here. Now these aren't as big of concerns, especially because where this has been attempted to be repaired, it's built up, so that water can't really even flow over it anyway. Little hole here, not too bad. Now underneath where this pipe is, we can't really see anything, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of issues. I guess that's a condensate drain for that unit that no longer works. So it really doesn't even have any reason to be here. Okay, so as we discussed earlier, on the left side of the building over here on the east side, it looks like it's kind of sloping back towards this higher parapet wall. So down along where this is going to drain, that's one area that we need to be concerned with. Get you down here on the right level. So if this is a drainage area, then this area needs to be 100% solid. If we start getting water in here, we don't want it to go and backflow onto the roof. So you see that? I mean, this is coming up easily. I'm not even really trying on that. So any water that we've got flowing, and you can see it's puddling here a little bit, once it goes past here and has to backflow, that's going right up under there. You got another huge hole. I mean, I can stick my whole hand in there. This has literally got water sitting in it right now below that tar paper. So that's going straight into the building. Okay, let's look. Right here. Yeah. So any water that's puddling in this area, once that water level raises enough, if it backflows or you get too much water coming down, it's going right up underneath here. So that's an issue, and I can see water up under there right now. See, here's a spot here. Same issue. Water's gonna backflow right under there. So here you can see we've got a spot where this water is puddling, and right here we've got a spot where this roofing is coming undone. So all this water is going right into the building. Okay. I thought I saw one more spot over here. It was pretty obvious, but maybe not. Got a corner piece here. This is still adhesed, but just barely. Oh, my bad. Little corner piece right here. It's still adhesed, but just barely. So that's gonna come up eventually. And honestly, a hole for water to go through doesn't have to be big enough for us to see it. It just has to be big enough for the water to fit through it. So here, we've got another area where we've got water puddling, and right here we've got a spot where it's unadhesed, and that water can just flow right in. So we're looking for obvious signs of leaks, but we're also looking for the less obvious signs. I think that was the majority of it. I thought there was one more big spot, but I'm not seeing it. So whenever I step on this, I can hear a little crunching under there, so I don't know what that means. You can see all this water puddling over here. So if we've got water puddling, that means that the water is not draining. If the water's not draining, what is it doing? So we're wanting to shed water, we're not wanting to hold water. Okay, so you'll notice that we got a corner building here, and we've got a high traffic area around this building on two sides. So what we're gonna have to do is insulate all the way to the edge of the building to make sure that we don't have any water coming in through this crack, okay? But we have all of these high traffic going through here. So what we can do is we can shut down these parking spots along the building, and we can shut down parking spots on the other side of the building, but we can't shut down the road. It wouldn't be bad really even to shut down parking spots over there. Wind is going to be something that's going to dictate if and when we can do this project, just because it's such a high traffic area. Okay, so we're going to wrap the corner on the edge of the building. We also need to go up this parapet, and we're going to go up the parapet and across the top. We want to go at least halfway across the top, or all the way across the top, either one. Some of these parapets can get pretty wide, so just depending on that. But we need to take note of how high this is, okay? And you can see it reduces its height as we get down to the area where it drains. So I'm really thinking that is the drainage system here. Everything's supposed to kind of drain this direction and then go on down to the gutters. And also I found a little hole right here too. I mean, that is just straight into there. So we've noted the height of our parapet wall. We've noted some obvious signs of damage on this building. I wasn't able to find any areas where the roof deck just felt really soft. Anytime you start pulling off the top layer of the roof and start looking at the bottom layers, like the roof deck itself, there's no telling what you're going to get into. It's like an onion, you know. The more layers you peel back, the more you find out that it's just a fucking onion, and it's going to make you cry, it's going to make you cuss, it's going to make you ask Jesus for forgiveness, but it's never going to be anything except an onion. And that's the way it is with roofs, you know. You peel back a layer, still a fucked up roof. You peel back another layer, still a fucked up roof, until you find out that you got a fucked up roof. So that's that. Yeah, pretty fucked up roof. And here, I don't like this. Anytime we've got water puddling where we know we have a penetration in the roof, that's a potential leak. So that's why they targeted these air conditioning systems. They targeted those, which they fucking completely ignored this. which blows my mind, but that's why those are targeted. I don't see any other major problems. So we will call, we're not gonna call, we're gonna go on the internet and get a roof report on this. But, I mean, we've seen everything we need to see here. All right, so I think I covered basically everything on this roof. 1, we don't want holes. 2, we don't want puddling. 3, we want to make sure that we've got a good, clean drainage area that's 100%. This building, we found holes. This building, we found puddling. And we found a lot of the areas where the tar paper has come unadhesed from the roof deck. And so we've got water backflowing through there. A lot of flat roofs, they're going to notice problems when it's a lot of rain, not when it's a little bit of rain. So as you can see, it's holding water up here. The areas where it's holding water, obviously, the water's not just leaking directly through there. But as soon as you get a heavy rain and that water builds up and it can't drain off the building faster than the rain is bringing it in, well, now you've got that water piling up, and it's got to find somewhere to go. So that's when you're going to notice all your leaks. You know, I've seen enough up here. I don't really even feel like we need to go talk to any tenants in there. Now, if we walked out this whole area and we didn't really find anything and we're not really sure what's going on, well, at that point, we need to go talk to the tenants, because it may not even be a roofing problem, maybe a drainage problem, maybe a problem with the actual ducts that are bringing the water from the roof down to the street. I've seen that in buildings. They'll have an internal ducting system in the wall, especially on these old-timey buildings. And then what'll happen is those ducts are typically made with like the old clay pipe, and that clay pipe will break, and then you'll have somebody try to go in there and fix it, you know, basically a patch job. And then you get water overflowing through that duct. It's leaking through the wall, so it looks like it's leaking through the roof, but it's really not. You can run into problems like that. But for this one, I'm satisfied with knowing we've got enough issues on top of this roof that there's no doubt in my mind that if we fix those issues, we'll fix the entire roof. But it's definitely going to have some challenges. So anywhere where your tar paper is coming loose, that's an area where you want to inspect. You want to inspect the actual roof deck itself. If you know you have a leak there, then you know that you probably have water damage there. If you have water damage there, that needs to be fixed before we do the roofing process. So with the spray foam system, right? So if we've got an area where we've got water coming in and it's leaking down onto the roof and moisture damage, and we got to replace roof deck, we've got to replace trusses, all that needs to be done before we put down the spray foam system. We don't want to roof over top of problems, okay? The time to take care of a problem is once you expose it. So every area that we know that there's a leak, we're going to want to cut that open, inspect the area, see if there's more work that we need to do in that area before we move on, right? Because yes, it's going to be expensive to go back and fix those areas, but it's going to be a lot less expensive than insulate or putting the entire roofing system on. And then once we get the entire roofing system on, being, oh yeah, well, we've got mold damage all throughout the building because there was one spot that had mold and we didn't take care of it. So exposing all the damages, all the threats is something that we want to do. When we're doing a roofing project for somebody, this is something that they want to last for 20 years, okay? This is not something that they want for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. They want a minimum 20-year guarantee on this stuff. So anything that's going to be a problem between now and 20 years from now, that's what we need to be looking at. 20 years from now, I'm going to be 50 years old. I'm going to be an old man. I'm going to have gray goddamn hair if I have any hair left. So we need to be looking at problems in the future, not just problems that we know today. So whenever you're doing that, like we talked about earlier, you know, roofs are like an onion. You know, it's got layers, and every layer you peel back, the more you find out there's another fucking layer. Okay, we've still got problems. They're still gonna make us cry. So we need to go into this preparing our client. Hey, look, you know, we found some actual problems on this roof. We found areas where we definitely had water leakage issues. If we have water leakage, that means that we probably got water damage, moisture damage inside your roof deck. So everywhere that we found it, we're gonna expose those areas. We're gonna look and see if we can find any more problems. Just so you know, before we open that up, because we don't know what's under there, this is what it's going to cost to fix this area per square foot. And this is just an estimate. It could go up, it could go down, depending on what we find out, but this should be an accurate number. So I haven't repriced material, but the last time that I did this was about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. And I was probably undercharging. I was charging $25 a square foot to fix any problems that we found underneath the tar paper. So that means roof deck, that means trusses. And hey, look, if we get into a situation where we have to replace all of the trusses in the building, you know, I don't know if that number is still good, but I felt like it was a number that I could go with. So we need to let them know that. And then as we expose these problems, as we find these problems, we need to keep them in the loop on these things, okay? We need to be very transparent. Hey, we found a problem here. Hey, we found a problem there. Hey, it's looking like it's going to be X amount of dollars. It's looking like it's going to be X amount of dollars. You know, constantly giving them updates so that they feel like they're in good hands. They feel like they know what's going on. They feel like they could have a competent conversation on the issues. So that was a lot longer than it needed to be, but, you know, keep your clients in the loop. Final piece of advice on the roofing. Overestimate. Don't be scared to overestimate. So, didn't bring a tape measure, didn't bring anything. I'm gonna get measurements off of a website from the satellite. So we'll have satellite measurements on the building, but like the parapet wall, I keep wanting to call it a parapet. Anyway, the parapet wall, I'm just gonna figure that at like 4 foot all the way down. Even though it was 4 foot and it reduced, you know, 4 foot all the way down. I mean, this is not a project where, you know, the client is gonna be deterred by a couple of $100. If they're upset about a couple $100, we're not interested in the work at all, okay? Roofing is a commitment. It's not a project, it's a fucking commitment. So we're gonna be here for a while, okay? We're gonna have a lot of challenges, and we're not gonna be that concerned with something like that, okay? So we're gonna figure the parapet wall, 4 foot all the way down, and then there's no other parapets. We've got several spots that we're gonna have to inspect for further roof damage. We won't be able to do that until the day of, because obviously if we open it up, we want to be able to close it as soon as possible. Everything is going to be highly dependent on the weather. Everything's going to be highly dependent on the humidity. Everything's going to be highly dependent on the wind. We're going to have to shut down parts of the street. Nobody's going to be happy about that. This is a project that I would just guess off the top of my head, it's going to take more than a couple of days to do. So, you know, we're gonna be here for a minute. So we're definitely not worried about a couple $100 on this. All right, so that's it. I'm out of here. We're gone. We found all the problems we can find. We did all the investigating we can investigate. So that's it for me. Remember, always overestimate the roof, never underestimate yourself. A disclaimer, unless you're a fucking dumbass, then please, you're already overestimating everything. Don't be a fucking dumbass. Just don't. It's not a good look.